Hey everyone, my name is Dan Hendrickson. Some of you might know that. I'm a writer, and I've written a book called Comedy Album. And tonight I'm going to be doing a reading from Comedy Album. In this age of pandemic, it's the best I can do. I guess you could say this is my book launch, so thanks for coming to my book launch. There's some Cheetos in the cupboard, and some stale Kool-Aid in the fridge. We made it this summer, nobody drank it. So help yourself to that. Comedy Album by Dan Hendrickson. That's me. The first poem I'm going to read to you, there'll be a dog barking in the background. Try and ignore that. The first poem I'm going to read you is a poem called Guy Walks Into a Bar. A bartender walks into a bar. Behind the bar, there's a flinty duck wearing a tiny, crusty apron and standing atop an old wooden bar stool. The duck cracks a big grin when he sees the bartender, and he crows triumphantly, "You have no idea how long I've waited for this day." Kind of a turnaround there, with the duck being the bartender. The second poem is called Trout Camp, and this poem speaks a lot to my feelings of not fitting in over the years. Like, this one really speaks to that, and possibly explains some of that. Trout Camp. When I was young, my parents sent me to trout camp. But I wasn't like the other kids. They were all trout. Trout camp. Now, while I'm doing the reading, folks, I'm going to be doing some comedic asides as well, so like a little comedy performance here. So here's one. I saw my doctor recently, and I told him I've had this pain in my side. He said, "Shut your poop hole, fat boy. I'm the doctor. I'll tell you what's wrong with you. I made a list. You're overweight. You smell. You drink too much. You talk too much. Your voice annoys me." It was quite a list. I'm thinking about getting a referral to another doctor. When I asked my doctor for one, he said, "Refer this, you little chicken." So I'm looking for a doctor. That was comedic aside number one. And I have no idea what's happening out there. Feel free to turn something on the TV. It's all good. This poem's called He Sells Seashells. He sells seashells. She sells seashells down by the seashore. She apparently doesn't understand the immutable laws of demand and supply. She quite obviously has never sat in on an econ class, not even one time. Long story short, she is wasting her life. He sells seashells. It's kind of a, I guess you could say that might be a little bit about me and poetry. The next poem, this one's close to my heart. This one's called Rocking the Cashmere. Not too long ago, I dreamt I was a crawdad. It was Father's Day, and I was wearing a cashmere sweater. Outside of the sweater, everything else was normal. Pretty much business as usual. Rocking the cashmere. I think it's time for a comedic aside, folks. I consider myself very much like a ripped pair of jeans. Sure, there's a few tears in the fabric, but you can always count on me to cover your ass. Continuing on with the reading. This poem right here, our fifth number, is called Mr. Manners. And I have no idea if anyone's watching anymore. If you're not, that's okay. I totally understand. I wouldn't either. This one's called Mr. Manners. I'm very polite in bed. Unfailingly polite. I always say please and thank you. Mr. Manners. Continuing on with our reading here. This one's called They Call Me Trinity, and it's based on a movie I've heard is very funny. I've never watched it, but They Call Me Trinity. When you stop to consider it, rotisserie chicken is a pretty lofty handle for a fairly lowly bird. If I were a rotisserie chicken, I at least like to think that I would say, please, call me chicken. This one has to do with a lack of success in a lot of things early in life, but mainly at the bar, trying to meet women. This one's called Old Pickup Line. If you want to hunt my brains out, please do. I'll be a mindless zombie for you. A really happy mindless zombie too. Old Pickup Line. And these poems are from my new book, Comedy Album. I don't know if that's forwards or backwards for you. I just lost somebody. 4 people watching. This is great. So anyways, you can buy this book at Cream and Amber in downtown Hopkins. You can buy this book at Zambros in Fargo. And you can buy it online at all kinds of places. Amazon, all that kind of thing. And by the way, quickly, I do want to thank the founder of Facebook, Eduardo Savrin. And I want to make sure to give a big shout out to, I don't want to forget, the Winklevoss twins. Okay, let's keep going here. We're on a roll, I say. This poem is called The Synth and the Stash. To unwind, I play in a one-man 70s throwback band on the weekends. The name of my one-man band, The Synth and the Stash. It's pretty no frills. Like the flyers say, one man, one synthesizer, one damn sweet mustache. Good times. This one's called Crosstown Blues, and if you live in Minneapolis, you know Highway 62 is sometimes referred to as Crosstown, the Crosstown. So this is called Crosstown Blues. There was a time not so long ago when I was driving across town on the freeway, and my fake mustache fell off in traffic. Sadly, I had no choice but to drive the rest of the way home with my index finger curled pathetically above my upper lip, like an amateur, a GD amateur. Crosstown Blues. I think we need a comedic aside to shake it up a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if my butt is bulletproof in leather pants, but it sure feels bulletproof. Here's another one. A friend once unfriended me on Facebook. We were never really the best of friends, but I actually liked him more after he unfriended me. We have a lot more in common than I thought we did. Continuing on with a few more readings from Comedy Album. This will be our 9th number. Actually, sorry, our 10th number. This one's called Critical Reception. Whenever I see someone tapping away on a keyboard in a coffee shop, I sidle up behind them and say, "Are you writing a novel? Is this your debut novel? In any case, could I read it? Could I read it right now?" You honestly wouldn't believe some of the haughty reactions I've received for my efforts, for my keen and genuine interest. No wonder no one reads books anymore. Who needs it? Ain't that the truth? We'll keep going, folks. Poem number 11. This one is based on a trip my family took out to the Black Hills. It's called John Cougar. I think I could live out in the Black Hills. Things are different up there. Rugged, isolated, remote. You probably wouldn't understand. Not unless you were a hermit or a friggin' mountain goat. John Cougar. You know, a lot of people say, or maybe you think, well, it'd be great to be, or fun to be an artist. I have another way of looking at that. For instance, imagine getting into a new car, one you had paid for, walking down the street and having a place to go as opposed to drifting aimlessly. Imagine doing some work, and when you were finished, someone said, "Nice job," and meant it, as opposed to saying it in such a way to indicate you were a hopeless case and had screwed the pooch yet again. You guys don't know how good you have it. You really don't. I went through a car wash recently, and it was really, really wild. They used colored soap in this place. So like I was in the car sliding through, and they used this wild colored soap, really vivid colors, swirls, lots of things going on. And it was just like, it was almost overwhelming. And then all at once, I was slick and out in the light. It was a lot like being born. With the lights. This one's called Comedy Writing 101. Did you hear the one about the tortoise and the portobello mushroom? In the end, it was all one big misunderstanding, if a bit pervy, which it most certainly was. I don't think anybody would argue that. And I guess, you know, these little poems right here, it's kind of some tips on how to write jokes. For instance, this is Comedy Writing 201, advanced course. People say comedy is hard. It isn't hard, it's super easy. Take Best Buy. If I didn't like Best Buy, why, I might call it Worst Buy. But I like Best Buy. Some really good friends of mine work down at their corporate office. I'm just saying, a lot of this stuff writes itself. Comedy gold. Continuing on. So part of the reason I'm a writer is a guy named Richard Brodigan who wrote a book called Trout Fishing in America. And it's just a really interesting book. It's unlike anything I've ever read before. So I can't say it will have the effect for you it had for me, but it's one I can always pick up and find things to laugh at. And the last word of that book, famously, is mayonnaise. So this is called Mayonnaise and is for Richard Brodigan. In one of my go-to orders, I'm going to start again. So this one's called Mayonnaise for Richard Brodigan. In one of my to-go orders recently, a restaurant gave me a packet of real mayo. I don't want any real mayo, thank you. I want the counterfeit stuff. The phonier, the better. Everything else in this world is fake, so let's keep things consistent. Don't think for a minute you're going to come in here at the 11th hour, hand me a packet of real mayo, and somehow everything is going to be groovy and delicious. It's not, and you know it. Put that on your sandwiches. That's for Richard Brodigan. This one's called Rock and Troll, and as we know, trolls are out there. Even right now, they're probably lurking behind the scenes as I'm doing this on Facebook. But they're part of our lives. We have to just accept that and roll with it. So this poem is called Rock and Troll. Do you remember that time you came on the radio? It was so exciting. It was one of your newer songs, and I remember thinking it was too bad they didn't play one of your older ones. A song that was actually catchy and at least somewhat relevant. But hey, they played your song on the radio. You should be proud. Rock and Troll. You hear the thing a lot, safe for work, not safe for work, NSFW. And my friends know I'm unemployed, so they send me all kinds of not safe for work stuff. You wouldn't believe some of the terrible things they send me. Naked reindeer. It's awful. And I'm trying to impart some wisdom here too tonight in this very brief performance. You're almost done, I promise. Here's a tip for you. If you ever get tossed into a lobster tank, the best thing to do is pick a fight with the toughest lobster in there. If you win, you're going to be just fine. But if you lose, it's going to be a long night. All right, let's keep reading some stuff here. We've made it this far, folks. I'm running out of these tab thingies, which must mean the show's just about over. Thanks for coming to my little show, by the way. Okay. This one is called The Bearer of Bad News. I tell people I hate being the bearer of bad news, but that's not true. I love delivering some bad news, like, sorry, it looks like they gave you decaf. Hey, that new grass you planted, it's all dead. Or, I forgot to walk your dog today, like you asked. My bad. Delivering bad news like that, that's my cream cheese. It's my sweet cocoa butter. Kind of like delivering bad news sometimes. All right, folks. There's a lot of ice cream poems in this book, so I'm going to read a couple of those, and I think we'll call it an evening. Maybe I'll throw in a couple more comedic asides, I'm not sure. This one's called Rocky Road. Anyone who thinks the world is a good place hasn't lived here. If one of those people visited our world, it would be a day, maybe two, before they approached me and said, I don't know what I was thinking. The world is a terrible, terrible place. And I would smile and say, welcome to my world. Then I would take them out for ice cream to show them that it's not all bad. Rocky Road. This last poem, I think, for now, is going to be called List Serve. And this is really just a test run. I've never really tried this before. I don't even know what's happening, to be honest with you. But this poem's called List Serve. I know that much, at least. Every time I see a sign offering soft serve ice cream, I immediately pull over. Then I run inside and plead with the counter person to make my order soft like a dream, so soft that I scream. I have to travel a long way to get soft serve ice cream these days. I'm on a lot of do not serve lists. Oh, I'll read one more just because I like this one. And again, this book is called Comedy Album. It's written by me, Dan Hendrickson. It's for sale at Cream and Amber in downtown Hopkins, Zambros Variety in downtown Fargo, and online through various entities and so forth. This poem's called Gritty Majesty. I'm a big fan of the Vomit Kings, their band, and I have all their records. But if you ask me, their very best album was Liquid and Chunks. To me, they just haven't been able to quite capture that same gritty magic on subsequent records. I'll end with one more comedic aside, maybe two. You know, we get taught to a lot these days. We have GPS on our phones. We have Siri, and she's always telling us things to do. And I've always had trouble with people telling me what to do. You know, so like she'll be like, "Go straight on Hennepin Avenue for 1 mile," and I'll say, "You go straight on Hennepin Avenue for 1 mile." Even I think I've got a bad attitude. I think I'll close by telling you a little story back when I was a substitute teacher. And I was teaching a German class. And rather than stick in the classroom, I said, let's go to Pannekuchen and get some breakfast. And we got there, and of course, and there's one in every crowd. One of the bright kids was like, "Oh, I get it. I get what you're doing here. So we should order in German, our breakfast in German." And I said, "Listen, nerd boy, I don't care if you order in Swahili. Papa needs some pancakes, so pipe down, okay?" Papa needs some pancakes. You know what, folks? So anyways, I've been sending out a lot of books lately, and this is my last. I don't know if you'd call any of these jokes. I'm not sure what you'd call any of this. Probably a cry for help. But I've been mailing out some books because some friends have been nice enough to buy Comedy Album. Yeah, I'll keep doing this. Anyways, though, what it seems to me is, first, manila envelopes, the sticky stuff, it never sticks enough. There's always like 1/3 sticks, 1/3 sort of sticks, and the other third is like, "Wah." So you have to get some tape out, some Scotch tape out. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know if it's just me or what, but it's like every time you rip off a piece of tape and you tape down a manila envelope, you look down and there's always like a hair in there. And, chances are it's a pet hair. We've got all kinds of pets. But the person who receives the envelope is going to be thinking one thing and one thing only as far as what kind of hair it is. So it's just like, I hate you, manila envelope company. Two last things, and then I think we're going to call it an evening here. Then I'm going to shut my phone down and pretend this didn't happen. Last plug of the night. New book, Comedy Album. This is my book release party. Thanks for tuning in. Anyone who might be tuning in, you're good people. Better than I deserve. Anyways, so quickly, just a couple last comedic asides. 3 maybe. To me, dating is like fishing. Half the fun is eating the sandwiches you packed for the trip. Now, I don't have a lot of dreams. Some of you know that. I don't really dream all kinds of stuff. But I do have one dream. And my one dream is to throw a rock into the deepest part of the ocean. I want the ocean floor to know there's nowhere it can hide from me. And on that seaworthy note, I'd like to end with one last bit of advice for you, because I do want to try and impart some wisdom in the brief time I have with you. Sea foam makes good shaving cream, but swordfish make poor butter knives. I'll go one more. I have one more for you. And people will ask me sometimes, why are you a writer? And I'll say, I don't know, and then get super depressed. But I think why I'm a writer is because I can't shut up. And I really can't just shut up. And for instance, like, I've been to the ocean a few times. If you've ever been to the ocean, it's kind of awesome. And so there's been times where it's like I'm standing there with maybe a person I know and 10 other people I don't know, and everyone is just taking in the view and, just appreciating the gorgeous view. And I know all I have to do is stand there and just be silent and enjoy it with them. But I can't. I have to say something like, take in that saltwater majesty. And I ruin it for everybody. And that's, I guess, what makes me me, I guess. So if you want to know why I'm a writer, it's because I can't shut up, and I don't know when to shut up. And but I think this one time I might know when to shut up, and that's right about now. So thank you for tuning in to this inaugural and possibly final Facebook Live performance. It's been very interesting, and I'll watch it back someday, and I'll have a few thoughts on it then. But if I don't see you again on Facebook Live, thanks for being a friend, and I appreciate it. And if you have not picked it up, at least I hope you'll consider picking up Comedy Album by me, Dan Hendrickson, for sale here or there. And I also have some in my trunk, the trunk of my car. So shoot me an email or direct message me, and we'll go from there. Okay. I think someone just sent me a sick face. I'm not sure what just happened there. All right, everyone, good night. Take care.